Open up your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. Hey, Sifu Boggie here, and welcome to the way of conscious mindfulness. Firstly, before we start, who the heck am I and what's this show all about? Well, my name is, my real name is Paul Brighton, but my teacher name, and what most people know me as, is Sifu Boggie. Sifu means guide, muse, somebody who points you along the way, who guides you on your path. Boggie means the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. And as I said, it is my teacher name, it is my martial art name, it is my healing name, it is my spiritual name. And for the last 37 years, as according to my Sifus, I've been studying the Taoist arts of Tai Chi, Qigong, Tit-Ta, Tuina, Chinese massage, reflexology, Taoist philosophy, and many, many other skills, with the aim, the goal, as my Sifus did, to help healers, lightworkers and coaches especially, but anybody who needs it, to supercharge themselves and to ensure that they never burn out. So that's who I am. What's this show all about? Well, this show is the way of conscious mindfulness, a regular podcast and Facebook live show discussing spirituality and science, blending it with health and well-being and mind, body and spirit, with a Taoist twist. What does the Tao mean? The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. Now, surprise, surprise, surprise. This isn't a normal show. Anything with me in it is not normal. Each week, each show, we either have a subject or a guest. Now, today, we have a mighty guest. He's been on before and he's back on again. And when us two get together, when the Doc and the Sifu get together, you never quite know what's about to happen. So hang on to your hat, Betty. It could be an interesting ride. So without further ado, let's bring the man on himself, the wonderful, the mystical, the magical, the ever so awesome, the Doc himself. Doc Joe, good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Sifu, lovely to see you again. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I never know who you're talking about because I think can't be talking about me.
well, you're one of those people that if I don't hype you up, I know you won't. So I have to give you a little bit of a little bit of a polish, a little bit of a dust and a clean, because you know you are a very interesting, a very awesome chap, and we don't always say it to ourselves. So it does help, you know, when somebody says it to you, and then you just have to shut up and take it. So shut up and take it. So. Okay.
Yeah, I look at my, the description of what I do, and I think, who are they talking about? You know, because there's still a part of me thinks, how have I got here? It all seems by accident. You know, I still feel like a sort of 8-year-old child in a grown man's body, and wonder how the hell I go forward in life. You know, and I'm sitting here tonight. I feel fantastic. I feel emotionally calm. I feel very, very clear-minded. I've got no idea what's going to come up, but I'm okay with uncertainty now. I can sort of, embrace uncertainty and be okay with myself. You know, it never used to be like that.
Well, it's this. Well, you did mention it, and it is, one of the waterway, the Taoist techniques of just going with that flow. And the Taoists say it best of, when you're in a stream, you find yourself in the stream. If the stream's pushing you, the current's pushing you along, and you swim and fight to get to the side, you'll wear yourself out, you'll tire out, and you may miss the edge of the stream, or the sides altogether. But if you just relax and go with the flow, eventually you'll find yourself on the bank. It will eventually drift you on the bank. And when you go with the flow of the universe, it does do the things that you need. It does end up doing what's best for you. and we tend to try to fight against it rather than go with it. Doesn't mean that sometimes you can't manifest what you want, but when the odds, when you're not getting what you want, go with the flow, and you'll never know what you get. So
no, I agree. And 27 years ago, I was in such a terrible state, physically, mentally, emotionally. I didn't really understand spiritually then, really. I had an idea what religion was, but it wasn't spirituality as I know it today, And spirituality is, to me, it's just the core essence of who I was before I started labeling life and labeling myself and listening to the nonsense that was peddled to me, really. And so 27 years ago, I knelt down and handed my will and my life over to the care of the universe. I didn't know what I was doing, but I let go of everything because it was pointed out to me that by my management of my life, it took me to the point of doing myself in, And I'm beginning to see that more and more now. People are being forced in a gentle way by life itself to maybe let go of everything that's gone before and embrace a new way of living. And that's about living in uncertainty and just feeling that something bigger than them, something more powerful, something compassionate and kind will guide them through the chaos that the world's in at the moment. And that's what I think the flow is. The flow is to let go. The pain comes from keeping hold of. Letting go is easy. It's hanging on that causes all the pain and tension. And it's about not fighting anybody or anything, and just trusting that maybe there's a bigger intelligence in the universe than our small egos.
Yeah, spot on, Doc, spot on indeed. And I, because it's that both thing, yeah, there is something more. You are part of that something more. You are that something more, but you got to let go of that egotistical side of thinking you know everything, and just keep growing and just keep the Taoist approach. But there was I've got to look it back up again because I know there was a philosopher, actually I think it was a psychologist who said that the more energy you have, the more your consciousness expands. The more consciousness expands, the more awareness expands. The bigger the picture you see, and it's that thing of where however you get that energy is to keep allowing yourself to grow and to learn. We're in the UK, that old saying of, a jack of all trades, especially like when they talk about me, is, you know all this stuff, you're a jack of all trades. Well, I know that original saying was a jack of all trades leads to the master of one, because in Japan with the samurai, the Chinese with the Shaolin and the Taoists, is that everything you learn enhances everything else you do. So, you've got to keep that childlike nature, keep wanting to, find more, grow more, but not learning it for, not treating it like materialistic and learning just for data, like scholars tend to do. Not all of them, but a lot do. They all learn all this data just for data's sake. But to learn to grow and expand, and that's what that's what I think it's all about. Is help allowing yourself to stretch out more and more and more, because there's so much more you are. And also, but going with, letting go of everything at the same time. It's almost a slight oxymoron, is allow yourself to stretch out and gather all this information, or allow it to absorb in by making yourself bigger and bigger. But at the same time, just go with the flow, because, you're just one part of this whole universe, but you are, you are it, and you're part of it all at once.
It's sort of bridging, what they call bridging the paradox, isn't it? It's sort of bilocation, really, but with a sort of witnessing, So there's a part of me that sees everything going on all the time, and yet there's another two parts of me that one's got one foot in 5D, one's in 3D, and trying to work between these two things, and understanding, that it's almost like a setup, really. What I sort of see is the first half of my life, right, was to construct the prison right? And the second half of my life was to find ways and find solutions of getting out of the prison that I constructed myself, And this is part of psychotherapy. It's part of Taoism. It's part of all the major religions in the world. And to me, at a deep level, it's about evolution of the soul. And I know soul sounds religious to some people, but to me now, I've sort of cast away all religions and all dogmas and all sorts of creeds, and I've got this sort of open flowing connection with the universe to just say, please show me, right, what I need to do next in order for my soul to expand even further. So it's become the eternal progress of the soul. And I'm not aiming for enlightenment anymore. I'm not aiming for this, that, and the other, because I don't really think there's a thing to aim for. I think the whole thing is about experiencing every feeling on a daily basis, And the ancient Mayans believed that each day had a mood state of its own, And if I'm always trying to fix my mood because I'm feeling down and one day I'm feeling up, if I'm always trying to go with that and adjust it, then I'll be forever doing that. My energy will be wasted and I'll miss all that heavenly glory, And so really, Sifu, it's like you, and we have the same sort of philosophy, is wake up, do the best you can, be kind, be respectful, treat yourself kindly, treat other people kindly, but take no shit. Oh, that bit just popped out there at the end.
Oh well, don't.
Oh,
No,
well,
no.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was it? Sometimes. Well, I said this on Tom Dina's show. I said about. Well, I think I may have said shit first, and then said about poo is manure, and it makes the
Yeah.
flowers grow, and then we went off on the tangent of the Tao of poo.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Yeah, but you need a little bit, and sometimes you need a little bit of a shocker. It's okay. I think sometimes you have to swear a little bit. You have to have a little bit of a shocker to get people to realise to stop focusing on that finger. What was you miss all that heavenly glory?
Yeah.
As the mighty Bruce Lee once said. But he did nick it from a Taoist. But anyway, but yeah, that's the whole point. So I think in a way you've already answered this question, but let's then ask it anyway. So this is your show, Joe. So Doc Joe, what is your Tao? What is your way?
My way has become all about feelings. I call this the F off approach to health and happiness. Because F off to me means fight or flight because of fear. So that's the first F off. And the second is focus on feelings first. I am in the process of writing a book. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's called There's No Effing Stress If You Focus on Feelings First, because I think because of our naivety, or my naivety, my stupidity, my ignorance, my arrogance and everything else, I've allowed myself to be duped and to be brainwashed really by people who are more intelligent than me, and I think that's part of this whole sort of capitalistic setup that most of us are born into. And it's not just in the West anymore, it's a global thing, And I think, any standardization is probably a dangerous thing. I believe wholeheartedly now in something called collective individuality. And to me, in the way I explain it is that each soul has a particular vibration and a particular task and a particular part to play in the sort of reconfiguration of the world, because I think we're out of sync, and we have been for a long time. But there's more and more as this great shift in consciousness is increasing in amplitude, or the tidal wave is increasing more ferociously. I think everything that's not in alignment with the Tao, if you like, is being brought to the surface. So people have to own up to it, recorrect their behavior. It's almost like so it's a sort of behavioral intervention. Recorrect their behavior, take the right steps to realign themselves and rebalance themselves, and then they'll start to understand more about what the universe is, what it's all about, and how it's just a great big cosmic joke at one level. So my Tao is I've no idea. I wake up with an idea of, I don't really know, please show me. And people say to me, well, who are you talking to? Well, the connection is in my heart of hearts. That's how I connect to the universe. I open my heart, almost like a gate opening, and then I allow my consciousness to sink deep as far as it can go. And then I try and open up and listen to what the universe is trying to tell me. I know that you understand that. I don't know whether that makes sense a lot, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, we'll actually have a look at the comments now. But guys, if you've got any questions on that or anything, always, put them up, and we'll see what the doc says. We'll see what happens. Throw some stuff at us, and we'll see what magically appears. Just don't throw poo, because I'll have to turn it into flowers. So, but anyway, so Ria saying, hey. Doreen is going, hey there, Sifu. Hey, daughter, which her daughter's on here as well, Jasmine. Jake is saying, Sifu. Carla is saying, good to see you, Sifu. And the doc, don't forget the doc, guys. Hey, mama, that's talking to her mum. Hey, over in California. Or from over in California. Oh, here we go. There's somebody who knows who you are. So, hello, Sifu. Hello, Doc Joe, and everyone from Jeanette. I know actually Jake's got a question for you. I saw one. I'll ask it in a second. So, here we go. Not got a good connection. I hope that's fixing for you. Care Bear share. Yeah, that's what I say. Care Bear share if you dare. Amazing, says Jake. Doreen says, yes, spiritually flows so much better than religion, from my experience. Yeah, words. Don't get hooked up on words. That's for me, the certain words I use or the certain words I don't use. I mean, I must admit, we sort of said about soul earlier. And I tend to use consciousness now because of that slight dogma of soul. But I'm getting to the point where words are just pointing. Words are trying to express something. We sort of mentioned off air about light language, and that's the whole point. The light language, and like when I do the chi blast, when I do the energy, it's translating information that you can't put into words.
Absolutely.
And it's a bit like music, the music can create so many, we say, like feelings, but there's so much things that stir inside you. It's undescribable, and that's the true that's the essence of the universe. There's a line in the Tao Te Ching from Lao Tzu, which is like sort of like the Taoist sort of book of philosophy of sorts, and it says the Tao that can be named is not the true Tao, and everybody gets hooked up on that, but it just means if ask a child to describe how a car works, they'll say it from a childlike point of view. Ask a human to describe how the universe works and what God's source, whatever you want to call it, is. We can only say it from a human point of view because our perception is only from this tiny little rock that's spinning around 66,000 times an hour. 1,000 times an hour, and hurtling through space 66,000 miles an hour. We're on this tiny this galaxy that's only just one galaxy, a billion of galaxies that exist in the universe. How the freaking hell are we supposed to describe the nature of the like, stop being so silly and just enjoy what there is and expand and just let stuff go. And that I sort of wanted to say as well, like that thing of stress. The one thing, again, back to the Taoist poems for me, we've stressed. There was one about if you're worrying about the past, unless you've got a time machine. And if you're worrying about the future, unless you've got a time machine, you can't go to the past, you can't go to the future, you can't change the past, and you don't know what the future is yet. So why are you worrying about it? If you're worrying about something that you can do something about, don't worry about it. Do it. Do what you got to do. If you're worrying about something that you can't do anything about, what's the point of, why are you worrying? There's nothing you can do. Worry turns into tension, well, stress turns to tension in the body. Tension in the body eventually turns into illness, and illness eventually turns into death. So why the freaking hell are you worrying or getting angry or frustrated? Because it'll kill you. And for me, that was like this big, I mean, it doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but for me, that was such a big shocker, because I was a real worry wart as a kid. I worried about people's feelings and everything, or got upset about. I could see people, I could hear people or feel people sort of saying certain stuff, and then when you confront them, I don't, they would deny it. And I learned from those lines. I realised and learned, what's the point if you can't do anything about it? What's the point? Leave the past. The past is the past. The future hasn't happened yet. Go with the flow the best you can. You can change something, awesome. If you can't change it, there's nothing. Do what you can do, and that's sort of how I've got. I mean, I've hit rock bottom more than once. I've had my, I've had a relationship fall apart, and my world literally fall apart around me, and end up not quite as bad as what I know what's happened to you, but I've pretty much I've definitely hit rock bottom, and went from working with being a close protection officer, working with billionaires, millionaires, billionaires and above, to to living in one little room, and just barely making enough to keep going. I've been on that roller coaster ride, and the whole point is that when you let it go, when you just go with what you got, and find ways to be grateful, find ways to forgive yourself and others, and that's a bloody tough one on both levels, yourself and others. And to find that unconditional love, that love for yourself, that love for life, whatever you've got, and that love for the universe, which that can be tough as well. But when you start tapping into that, there's an unlimited amount of energy there, and it will find things will happen. You'll find a way. The magic will be there. And you know me enough to know sooner or later this baby comes out. It's all about this. It is all about this. And you put it this way, you get the ups and you get the downs, and then you get the ups again. And a Taoist is trying to find that balance. Find your internal balance. Whatever's happening on the outside, find your internal balance on the inside, and you'll find a way. That's for me what it's at least partly about, if not a lot about.
I agree. I mean, what you've said, yesterday is history and tomorrow is a mystery. I agree, but to consciously say to somebody, stop thinking like that, misses the point, because that's conscious mind talking to conscious mind, and that basically processes about 1/10 of the information that's coming to us. There's 9/10 under the surface, like an iceberg. And that's where all the patterns are. That's where the fear is. That's where all the stress is, the anxiety is. Because most of the time, I was talking to myself, wondering what the hell was going on, And my life was quite a high position in a hospital. Used to work in clinical laboratories. The stress increased more and more. From there, as the stress increased, then the anxiety and panic attacks started to come in. Then I found that if I drank enough alcohol, that would sort of balance that out temporarily. And as the years went on, the stress increased, the anxiety got worse, the drinking got worse. And then when people were saying to me, if you carry on drinking like that, you're going to lose your wife and your kids and your job and your liberty, I couldn't stop. Sifu, I couldn't stop. My conscious mind knew that I had to do this, but it wasn't my unconscious mind that needed sorting out. It was, if you like, the shadow characteristics that were below the level of my consciousness. And I work in an environment in the NHS and in universities where they still think that if you strengthen your willpower and your conscious mind, that you can overcome these so-called dark forces of the subconscious. It's a lie. It's a delusion. You know, those people who say that they're either in denial, and if they're in denial, they don't know they're doing it, or they're manipulative. And that's what I find, you know. And I think that if you're trying to control people, just keep them on their toes, you know, because they get less opportunity then to take a step back, to sink deep into contemplation and to think for themselves. So my job today is, if you like, my Tao is to help people to realize that maybe where they got their ideas from wasn't the correct place. That if they want to know where their ideas really should come from, it's within themselves, deep within their heart, deep within their soul. And it's to find that still point where they can be educated from within. To me, this works from the bottom up and from the inside out. And I think when you're clearing your act up, I think when you surrender, it's your act that cleans you up, not you doing anything. So we have to let go of the little self, the tiny ego mind, and let big mind come in with all its energetic processes to clear our act up for us, you know. And you can call that the grace of God if you're a religious person, or you can call it the evolutionary impulse, or you can call it the Tao itself, you know. It doesn't matter as long as you get to a point. Rock bottoms to me are useful if you can say, I've had enough, I can't think my way out of this. And if you like, it's almost like a prayer to the universe. Will you please help me, please? But in order to get to that, you've got to almost get to a point of humiliation. You know, I think before serenity comes humiliation. You know, that was what happened to me many, many times. You know, and I can honestly say, you know, I feel absolutely fantastic. You know, is everything going the way that my ego wants? No, hardly ever. You know, because there's still a part of me that wants loads of money. It wants the best of everything and all that. But, you know, in my heart and in my soul, I'm okay with Joe today. I don't want to kill myself anymore. You know, I mean, at the end of my journey there, and I hope to God I never go back there, is I took a big, massive overdose and I should be dead. But what happened to me was a strange peace descended upon me. And I thought, thank God for that. It was the first time I'd ever felt that level of peace of mind, you know, and it was almost like in an instant, I knew how the universe worked. I was given all these mathematical formulas, you know, and I realized, right, okay, there's something much bigger. And then it's almost like I got an instruction to say, son, this is your soul's purpose. You signed up for this. And if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't have signed the form. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was almost like from then, I'll give you a chance in a minute because it's hard to get in when you're talking, right? So, forgive me.
I'll give as good as I get. You keep going.
You do. So it was almost like I was turned around, right? And I was kicked up the bottom to say, son, you've felt the peace now. You've felt the unconditional love. You realize what it's all about. Now, step by step, go back now and just explain your experience to people as we help you grow, reach this peace again. So it's almost like I got a touch of it and I'm working every day to get closer and closer to that peace that I know is deep within me and all around me at the same time. You know, so that's my story. My Tao is all I've got to share is my experience, my strength, and my hope that if you keep it simple, use simple breathing techniques and simple movement techniques, Tai Chi and Qigong, stuff like that, you know. And I must talk about Falun Gong at some point as well, because I spent a lot of time.
Oh yes. We've got a little bit of backwards to do first, but yeah, we'll talk that. I say because I think you've just answered this question. Jake said, Dr. Joe, I've witnessed your wisdom on a few shows. My question is, was there a defining moment for you that helped you propel you to the beautiful being you are now? I think.
Yeah, that was what I've just answered. It was at the point of death. I realized all about life, really. And to me, you know, it's yes, we have choices. We can make choices. My view is that we get recycled if we don't get it right, you know, and we come back at the same point that we left off, you know. So you might as well stay on this side of the fence, you know, and step by step, breath by breath, just work towards the light with the help of the light. It's more of a feeling than anything else. I mean, the Tao that can be explained, you know, is not the Tao. And so I find it very difficult to put into words. But once you feel the feeling, it's almost like there's an uplift then, and you start to be carried through if you can get out of the way and stop interfering with your ego, you know.
Very, very much so. Yeah, definitely. So Jake's put, I love your clarity and the way of expressing your way.
Thanks, Jake.
Edward said, we can look too hard and we can look too hard and never find. Let's have a look. Jake also said, you can't do anything yesterday or tomorrow. The only thing that you can do is the now. Yeah, you know, that is that biggest point of living in the now. And it's interesting that, you know, people want the now, or they're sort of now, but they're not actually, you know, they're very much being as loud as they can in this present moment, but they miss what's in front of their nose. They miss the beauty. You know, there's all this heavenly glory around you. There's all this, you know, wonderful. There's all these miracles and wonders happening all around, and most people miss them because. And the reason, you know, I know they miss them because when certain things, either at the end of their life or when certain things happen, they suddenly have all these regrets. Oh, I wish they did this. I wish they did that. So what are you wishing? You know, the whole point is, if you were living in that present moment, you know, and religions, the religions, you know, you have to bring up in sometimes, and they do, even in the religions, which are whispers of the truth, you know, they say live this moment as if it's your last, you know, appreciate stuff. And sometimes, you know, sometimes for us, at least, it's those moments of being close to the brink, or being right close to the edge where you're very close to giving up, that you get that glimpse of all that heavenly glory. You get that thing of, hold up, why the freaking hell am I worrying about this when there's all this, when, you know, there's so much more. And you know, that's the point. There's there's a funny thing. My dad often says to me, but it's almost like the universe talking through him. My dad would always, he still says it now. He always says the problem with you is Paul or Boggie, is that you worry about the things you shouldn't be worrying about, and not worrying about the things you should. But for him, it's all the materialistic things he thinks I should be worrying about, rather than, you know, like you know, certain things or certain energies or this and that. And it is interesting that most of the world is worrying far too much about the wrong sort of thing. Not that I want you to worry at all, but you're focusing at least far too much on the wrong things.
I agree. I agree. I think there's a difference between fear and caution. I think we need cautious optimism. I think that's a balanced approach. There's nothing wrong with materialism if it's balanced with spirituality. I see that clearly. Science and spirituality are just different ends of the spectrum, you know, and as science reduces things smaller and smaller and smaller, and as it pops out the other end, it comes to quantumness, which is to me what the cosmos is all about. So, you know, everything's connected now. I see that as clear as anything, that we're all connected. We're all connected by this invisible web, right? And some people will call that unconditional love, or it doesn't matter, but we're all connected by this sort of this greater force, you know, this oneness, this feeling of all beingness. Like, I can see that, I feel that. Sometimes psychologically I can't quite get my head around it, but from a feeling sense I understand it perfectly, really.
Well, science knows it's there. Science calls it the field, and has done, I think, since it was the 60s or 70s. You know, they finally found this thing that connects everything, and they called it the field. So they, you know, they know it exists. They know that everything's interconnected. Jasmine's put up a good thing. I don't actually really have a telly, so I don't watch Netflix. But she says, anyone happen to see the Netflix documentary on the heel? I finished it earlier. When seeing proof on alternative healing shown and explained, it's amazing. Disbelievers, I always say, look up Greg Braden, look up Bruce Lipton, especially Bruce Lipton, a medical scientist, the whole epigenetics, the whole thing about the placebo and the nocebo. There's, if you want data, if you want proof, it's blooming there. And that's for me, that's what's so wondrous about this time. You and I both know 20 years ago, we'd be we'll be really seen as real madmen and talking a load of tosh. They wouldn't believe a single word we're saying. But now the science, quantum physics and the epigenetics, every time, you have to, I don't believe in it, or show me the proof. Science. Where's my hammer? It's like that. It's like you want me to hit you with the hammer of science. You stand there. I'll keep doing it. And that's what the great thing is now, is that the evidence of this woo-woo spiritual stuff, it's not woo-woo anymore, because the evidence is there. And the truth is that if you allow it, if you just accept it, allow it to happen, the whole thing of nocebo and placebo is that whatever you believe is right. So if you think you're going to be ill, if you think your body's going to break down and deteriorate, you're right. If you think you're going to heal, if you think you're going to live to 150 or beyond, and everything's going to be wondrous, you're right. And that's the biggest thing of this universe, is that pick a side.
Well, they've done studies, haven't they? They've done studies where somebody wakes up in the morning, and they're feeling okay. They come out of the door and somebody says, "You're looking a bit pasty today. You don't look very well." And further down the road, there's another Confederate there to say, "Oh God, Joe, is everything okay? You look really ill today." Well, at the end of it, when 10 people have told you that, you start to feel ill, you start to worry, And so there's many, many scientific experiments. It's all about belief. And I teach now something called the biology beyond belief. I've sort of gone ahead of Bruce Lipton, and he knows about this, But biology beyond belief is to live not in belief at all, because to me, beliefs are just stored memories, really. They're from the past. They're still within the human framework. I think once you get into deep meditation and you drop deep enough, then you go high enough to be able to live in wisdom rather than knowledge, because knowledge is accumulated, accumulated information that might have worked in the old paradigm, but in the new paradigm, it's all about one moment at a time, And like you said before, is everybody saying, "Oh yes, you've got to live in the now." But the understanding is they try and force themselves to live in the day rather than letting go and just being in the now. Somebody said to me once, relaxation is who you are and stress is who you're pretending to be. And that's quite true, that, because essentially at the core is what's called the I am presence. It's the core essential self. It's your soul's identity, your individuality. And I feel that when people can discard all this all this nonsense and all this stuff that's covered our real selves, once we can jettison that and clean our act up, then it allows for limitless expansion. Then our energy grows, our vision grows, we get a much more expanded view of the universe, or this is the way it seems to be working for me, right? But it's all about humility, Sifu. And humility to me means to live in I'm not quite sure. It's okay not to be sure. Your turn.
Right, yeah, very, very much so. There's the whole thing of like Winnie the Pooh and like the Tao of Pooh and all of that, but the whole thing of the Benjamin Hoff wrote, it was back in the 90s, the books on Winnie the Pooh, and saying Winnie the Pooh was a Taoist philosopher because his simple way of living, just very, very just open-minded, and oh well, things, and just let things happen and just live in the adventure, and looking for the honey, and looking for the simple pleasures in life. There is, there's an awful lot on that, in certain strategies in China that they say about, if you keep your people, you keep their bellies full and their minds open, you will have you will have a great society. But if you have them searching constantly for knowledge and needing more and more, and keep them hungry, you'll cause problems. And we sort of said earlier about people focusing on the wrong stuff. Society's been doing that for the last 40 years, especially, but probably over a couple of 100 years. Focus on the fear for if you don't do this, you'll be punished, or they are your enemy. That this is terrorism. This, that, bananas, bird flu, pigeon flu, donkey flu. Boomerang flu. There's always something to be afraid of. There's always something to be panicking for, and that's like running. You running around on the little hamster wheel. It keeps you running. And of course, you keep running in circles. You're not actually. You're just burning yourself out. And this is the thing is. To a lot of degrees, people are starting to wake up, but people need to get off the hamster wheel and realize that you can't control everything, but don't focus on the things you should be focusing on, and enjoying the freaking moment. It's one of the things you definitely should be focusing on. Enjoy those pleasures, enjoy the things around you. Anything that Sifu once said to me, anything that you will one day regret, you should be focusing on. So if I didn't spend enough time doing this, I wish I'd done more of that. That's the thing you should be doing now. Not thinking about doing it in 10, 15 years time. And even if you can, seeking your passions. We talk about finding your passion. Even if you can only do your passion for 5 minutes every day, 5 minutes every day is better than waiting for retirement when you hope to do it full time. I've seen far too many people. I don't know about you, Doc, but I've seen far too many people who waited for their retirement and never got there, or lost their mind by the time they got there, or died before they got there. And it's like, why you wait? You're waiting for something that may never happen, or you're burning you out. Try to live. If you're living like every day should last, then you'll find ways to do the things you love. You'll find with things to do what you want now. And I'll quickly say one more thing. There's this great thing about there was this coach that said about kids. It says how do kids spell love? Time. And it's this, with kids, they want your time, they want that, and we should want that for ourselves, with everything, is that it's time that is is our energy, it's time that is our love. And if we're so focused on the job or on other stuff, and we're not actually doing the things that bring us joy now, you'll never get those things, because you'll always be.
That's where I was. I was focused on the job, and I lost the connection with my wife and my children, and I regret that. But I know now, and the thing is, to me, it's all about time, and it's all about forming an intimate connection with everybody that you meet. It's a heart-to-heart approach, and if you can talk to somebody openly, heart to heart, something magical happens, something transforms in that process. Even just a gentle smile to somebody, right, can change lives. This is the whole point. It's so simple. give time. That's one of the phrases I've learned, that most of us are on this mad treadwheel of got to get it done, and when I get this done, I'll be able to spend more time. And then we never give enough time to the things that we love, to we enjoy, so it's keep it simple, stupid. That's the KISS approach, one thing at a time, one day at a time, one breath at a time, because as the Buddha is reputed to have said, just become aware of your breathing, full stop. Because if you can tune into your breathing, then more and more you'll become more body sensitive. You'll know when you're in the flow because you'll just feel open flowing and everything else. But more importantly, you'll know when you've come out of flow, because it's almost like your body will signal you that I'm now out of flow. Can you get me back into flow? And that's become the most important thing of my life now. That if I feel emotionally disturbed because of an unpleasant bodily sensation, I don't go forward now to complete any work. I take a step back, recenter myself, open my heart, ask me heart intelligence, what is it that's causing this obstruction? Generally speaking, right, I can find out the answer. I go and take the action that de-obstructs me, and then I go forward then, And Sifu, that still point, it's so important. And that's what I try and help people with now, through showing them certain breathing techniques that are very simple. Breathing around 6 breaths per minute is so important, because what it does is it balances the yin and the yang at the level of the heart. Because the heart is the greatest oscillator in the body, yes. Because the heart is the biggest oscillator in the body, although we've made our mind think it's more important than our heart. Once we can get that back, then our heart will redirect our thoughts, which will redirect our choices, which will make for a better, more beautiful, more refined, more compassionate, more kind, more considerate life for ourselves and everybody else. I feel like I'm preaching again now. Bless you all.
So stay there. Well, where's the bell?
Bless you.
Indeed, mother. Yeah. Yeah, there's a Taoist saying, another Taoist poem I love, all about the breath, and it says, if your breath is shallow, fast, rapid, and agitated, your thoughts will be shallow, fast, agitated, rapid. Your actions will be shallow, fast, agitated. If your breath is smooth and effortless, and long and deep, your actions will be smooth, long and deep. Your thoughts will be smooth, effortless, long and deep. So, your breath really does affect, and in the in the medical side, in Taoism, they say a baby breathes from the belly. The belly moves and the baby breathes from the belly. And people who are have the last few days to live, the death rattle, they're breathing from the throat. And they're saying, as the shorter your life becomes, the higher, it starts off down here and it slowly rises all the way up. So, my students, there's a really good reason why I teach you belly breathing, breathing in, allow your belly to expand. Buddha, the Chinese Buddha, the happy Buddha, he's got a big belly for a reason, that he's full of what they call chi, physical vitality. He's got the moobs, he's got big moobs because he's full of jing, unconditional love, compassion. And he's got big old earlobes because he's full of shen. He's full of spiritual understanding, wisdom, and you need all three: the chi, the jing. There are other energies in the universe, but the chi, the jing, and the shen. For life, it's the physical energy, the emotional energy, and the spiritual energy. When it's out of sync, you can be, like you back into the 60s and the hippies. Yeah, they were so connected to the universe, man. Oh wow, groovy, baby. But they weren't paying the bills, or they couldn't, they couldn't keep stable. They couldn't fight themselves. Then you had the yuppies that had all the money and like the fat controller, all the wealth and the luxury, but not the spiritual understanding. Not the love. The body was too big to it was closing off their their love and compassion. And I know that for like I said, I've been with billionaires and millionaires, and a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, yeah, they had all the money in the world. Were they happy? Frick no. A lot of them were miserable, lonely. A lot of them were desperate for love and looking in all the wrong places. And you need that, but you have to find the balance of all three. And for me, as you've said, it always boils back to the breath. It starts with the breath. The breath, the breath and centering, leaning back, centering in the heart, allowing that heart to expand, allowing that love out, allowing the belly, like I said, the belly breathing is about expanding the belly to draw that energy in. But it also keeps you grounded. It keeps you, not, being aware of the universe and connected to the universe is freaking awesome. But if you're living up here, we're here, we're in this earth, and while you're here in this earth, you need to be in this earth balancing. You need to find that balance, and that's the whole point. It's all about breath. It's all about finding balance. You've got to find whatever your Tao is. That's what you've got to find. But
I think the universe works through the human, as our good friend Todd Medina would say. The human is the hero. And this is the balance between heaven and earth. It's the microcosmic and the macrocosmic orbit joining one another. But if you're not connected to Mother Earth at a deep level, then you blow the fuse and then you blow your mind at the same time. So it's all about, to me, it's what you teach as well, is gentle movement, feeling the energy, breathing, emotion, taking time, just to bring ourselves back to earth again. Because I was living in fantasy island for most of my life. I had all these great ideas, but they were never grounded in reality. And when I'm talking reality, I'm talking 3D reality here. So my understanding is at the moment, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but is to have a foot in 3D and a foot in 5D. These are the phrases people are using, and to work in both those dimensions at the same time. And then it does this.
Yeah.
And it's up and down. It's all spiral dynamics. There's an upflow and a downflow, and that's what that's all about to me.
Yeah, I do honestly agree. Well, I agree with you anyway, but I do honestly believe and agree with that. Is like people talk about 5D. I don't think they get what 5D is. I think 5D and 3D are still the same freaking place. It's just it's your perception opens up, your reality opens up.
Yeah.
There's a great thing in America, the Native American Indians, the shaman, were the ones who could see the ships first, and they had to keep bringing the locals to the same point over and over again, and eventually they suddenly saw the ships on the horizon. Is that your eyes have to adjust. I mean, I have a little bit of controversial information of that former CIA, FBI, FBI, MI5, MI6 friends I know have known that to them they've seen stuff that yes, unicorns exist, yes, fairies exist, yes, the Sasquatch exist, but we've narrowed our field of vision that we can't see them. That I very much, especially things I've seen, especially in places like Wudang, where when your consciousness expands, you open up, and there's things around us. We just the thing of ghosts, the things around us that we can't just see, and they're around us all the freaking time. They've always been there. They're not magically appearing out of nowhere. It's already so 5D is just us still in a 3D body, but expanding our awareness to reach that next level. And that's what I think. When people, we're going into 5D, man, it's going to be this, and this, and it's like, yeah, but you're still going to be in a 3D body, instead of water, you're gonna have moonshine in there, or you're gonna have, I don't know, whatever you thinks better than water. I actually prefer water, unless it's mead. But is that whatever's in your glass is going to be replaced, and that's you'll still have this body, but it's going to upgrade. It's going to expand if you allow it. And
well, I think that's the whole thing now. The things that we teach is making space in the physical body. And where I'm up to now in subtle energy medicine is I can start to see how the interstitium, that's the space between cells, and the channels that work, the meridians and the nadis, it's the water and the fluids that flow between those that carry all the energy. We talk about in Taoism, as you know, biophotons, and more information. It's called optogenetics. And I'm working on something now called chromato-optogenetics. And it's about 12 dimensions of possibility for all human beings, So we can bring quantum science into this, and we can come down from the Higgs field, which is where the Higgs boson started, and then we come down into different levels of density where we pick information up all the way down to our incarnation. That makes us the individuals who we are. The time of birth and all that sort of thing will be reflected in the planets that influence us. That will give us our soul the particular characteristics. Sifu, I didn't have a clue about any of this. I turned my mind away from it, but more and more now, I'm beginning to see how this works. And let me just mention, I think something else that's important is if people can start listening to music at 432 hertz, 432 hertz, because it corresponds harmonically to the 8 hertz of planet Earth as well. And Taoism, Mantak Chia talks about this all the time. He talks about frequencies and harmonics and subharmonics and vibrations and resonance and all this sort of stuff that we need to let go and allow the universe to put us back into the right harmony. So it's all about surrender. So just to go back to that, so it's about water, it's about light actually working through the meridians. It's the light, a bit like Wi-Fi working on photoelectric cables. That's exactly how it happens in the human body as well. So color, sound, right? All these things can facilitate realignment and resynchronization, which will cause our DNA to express itself in a different way, and our body will be retuned then to the tune of the universe. I didn't know I was going to come out with all of this. So how do we do it is let go, surrender, and say deep to your heart, please show me the way.
Oh, yes. What he said. Boggie be speechless. Sifu be speechless. Don't need to say anything. He said it.
That's a miracle.
I'll shut your face.
So go on then. Just for your for the viewers on today, how do you do it? It's almost like you've just got to surrender to win. Just take it that your human ego mind can only contain a very small amount of information. So it's the sort of metaphor, I say this on every show, metaphorically decapitate yourself, take your head, throw it away as far as you can, and just start to work with breath and positive emotion from the heart. And just ask for guidance, one breath at a time, one step at a time. And if it works for you like it works for me, your life will change beyond all comprehension. And I hope, change for the better as well. So there we are. That's it for now.
Right. So we've up to an hour, but can we squeeze in? Because you mentioned it. Can we squeeze in Falun Gong? Do you want to?
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Okay. So for those who don't know, I'll let you do it. For those who don't know, Doc, what is Falun Gong?
Well, Falun Gong to me is a more refined version, right, of Tai Chi Qigong. I think that's what I found. I practiced it for quite a few years. It's basically aligning yourself to the highest spiritual vibration. So it's a Shen technique. And I think, again, it's about surrender, but it's surrendering to the deepest energy and allowing that to work through it. And when you get taught by Falun Gong practitioners, they align you to the various forces of nature. Okay. And so basically, they're very sort of intricate about the way they position your body. All right. And there's basically 5 different moves. And so what they do is they show you how to connect with your energy body. And then you use this refined technique then to basically stroke your body, right, and work. It's like Tai Chi. It's like waving hands in the clouds, but there's very specific form. I found that to do the final form where you sit cross-legged, I just couldn't do that. And what they used to do is try and force me into this force, and in the end, right, it became too painful for me. But what I realize is, Falun Gong is probably the way forward for the world, and I'm not trying to supersede Tai Chi, Qigong or anything like that, but there's a great big movement in China where Falun Gong practitioners, have been harvested for their organs and such.
Yeah.
And so the thing about it is, this is my understanding, Sifu, is when you practice Falun Gong, and you can get all the information free off the internet, you can download all the information and you can follow it in the book, Falun Dafa, right? You can follow the instructions very, very clearly. And if you just follow the information, the more you move in line with the lines of the universe, the more your consciousness changes and the more you start to expand and open up and to understand what life's all about. And I found it very helpful. And I can't remember I'll tell you the reason I stopped going is because the person who initially taught us was a Tai Chi Qigong practitioner, and she was basically forced to stop it by the Chinese authorities, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know whether I'm going to get into trouble by saying this, but, that's my personal lived experience. It helped me. But once I got to understand the concepts involved, then I was able to let that go, because that's what I think the Tao is you get an idea and a sense of, and then you can come away from the teachers and start to teach yourself. I think that's what this is all about.
And
So,
I mean, yeah, you're not in this country if you're a Qigong, if you know Falun Gong and you teach it, you're in trouble. But basically, because I've been taught it. Do I teach it? I'm not officially allowed to teach it because it will get me in trouble. It's bad. It's a banned martial art, but it's banned because of what it does. Because the whole point of that's a little bit of a dark story in China, but there's a whole thing of harvesting organs and for the rest of the world, and it's something that hasn't quite leaked out yet, but it's that's a disclosure coming soon. A lot of the people who are being used for this harvesting are Falun Gong. It's a style of Qigong. Qigong is like music, and Falun Gong is a style of that music, just like Tai Chi. But Tai Chi is like classical music. This is why I teach Qigong rather than I do Tai Chi, but I teach Qigong because Qigong is far easier. It's lots of little exercises put together. Falun Gong is one of those styles, a very simplistic style, just like Zhamzhong, just like Bakwa. Well, Bakwa is a little bit more complicated, but it's a particular style, and it's a very powerful style. But in the West, that with the Chinese the martial art organization, it's technically a banned style, a little bit like spontaneous Qigong, which is very much the same thing. Is spontaneous Qigong. It's just like in essence like spontaneous dance or like jazz. For those who love jazz, because they just go with it. They're just spontaneous. They just go with the flow. And spontaneous Qigong, in essence, is that. And your body, because your body knows exactly what it needs. And if you actually allow it to, one of these crazy things I've always found is with pregnant women, we say, you want to eat a piece of coal, or you want to eat pickled herrings with strawberry jam. Oh, that's fine because that's what the baby needs. Well, you have those natural urges. You have those natural urges to do certain things, and like you say, listening to my heart and saying, what do I need to do today? That is spontaneous qigong. That is spontaneous. That's what we're meant to freaking be. We're meant to go with the flow, be spontaneous, and go with our urges, but we suppress them, saying, "Oh, that's bad," or you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do the other. And society and the energy of society suppressed that sort of information. And same like Falun Gong, is one of those things that it's a very powerful technique. And I mean, I love both. I love spontaneous qigong, I love Falun Gong, I love Shundao qigong. I can do certain things with Shundao which are very similar to the other two that will still give people, I've had people with I've had people who have had like facial tics, had chronic pain for decades, who within a few weeks, a few months of doing the qigong, it's not cured, but it's definitely greatly enhanced. Because I don't believe in the word cure, because cure, if you don't keep doing, if you do a certain pattern, certain thing happens. If you change that pattern, you want to stop being ill, change the pattern. However you are right now, what you're doing is creating what you're doing. So if you're ill, it's because of the patterns you're doing right now that's making you ill. There's cancer, being tumors that have disappeared in 5 minutes, in China, and all this like amazing, fantastic stuff. But one thing the practitioners say, you have to now stop doing what you were doing, otherwise it will come back. And that's the biggest thing that, and we were talking about this off screen, that as the biggest thing you'll find with a lot of people now, they don't want to keep reading cards anymore. They don't want to keep healing people anymore. They want to teach you to do it yourself, because you're meant to be able to figure it out. You're meant to have the basics and do it yourself. And then when you come a cropper, then you go and see a Sifu, then you go and see Doc, then you go and see whoever you need. But the day-to-day stuff, you should be doing yourself. You should, the modern society wants you to go to this person, go to that person, go to the other. They want you to follow the leader. The universe wants you to be your own leader. Go your own way, follow your own path. But it doesn't mean you can't ask for help. Freaking ask for help when you need it, but then go back to find your own way and find your own path. The power is there. You can heal yourself. Oh, that's woo woo. Science.
You see, this is what, you asked me, what is my Tao? My Tao is where I've been and where I am now. I'm 64 years of age, coming up to 65. I feel like a 35-year-old. I'm back in training for next year's 2020 London Marathon. I don't take any medication. I'm not opposed to medication in any way, shape, or form if it's used in the right amount at the right time for the right condition. That's why we have antibiotics to fight against infections and stuff like that. So I've got no problem with medicine if it's used on those terms. But I think there are so many non-medical interventions that people can do for themselves, because if you're continually doing something for somebody that they've eventually got to do for themselves, then you're actually disempowering them, really. So sometimes you got to pull the rug from under them, so they hit their bottom on the floor and they get up and start to walk for themselves, And I believe that, and that's basically what happened to me. Nobody did for me what I needed to do for myself. And I think we've sort of disempowered people in society by doing what you've just said. Go to that person and they will fix that bit. And then for that bit there, they'll do this, that, and the other. If you can know that there's so much you can do for yourself, I'm sure that the whole health system will change. The whole educational system will change. The whole financial system will change. We need to look in a different direction. And I'll finish on this is, there's no point in turning round in fighting what's already gone past. The system that we're in at the moment it's something that was created in the past. I call that shadow boxing. It's pointless. So as Jesus said, apparently, turn the other cheek. And I think what he meant was have a look in a different direction. Tune into who you are. Create something useful and beautiful from your essential self and show other people how to do the same thing. And Sifu, I honestly believe that that's the way forward for humanity, just based upon my own experiences. Take no notice of tradition. In fact, turn your back on tradition, right, and start to live spontaneously, just surfing the waves and allowing the Tao to take you where you need to go.
Very much so, very, very much so. There was. I'm just trying to quickly find it, but I know somebody said earlier was I think it was Einstein who said the true act of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And if you're not getting the results you want, change what you're doing. If you're not getting the results you want, change what you're doing. Stop banging your head against the wall. You want to get you want to get stopped hit by the hammer. Move out the blooming way, for goodness sake. It's as simple as that. So, man, Doc, as always, this has been a great pleasure and an honor. This is only our second show, but it feels like you and I have been doing this for ages. It is a great. I love this. I really do love.
Soul brothers, mate. Soul brothers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm going to come down to Brighton soon, hopefully, and we can spend the day with the Mad Irish one. Right.
Indeed. Yeah. I'm not sure she's about tonight because I haven't actually seen her pop up. But yes, we definitely. I think we'll have a right old crack. Indeed, we'll have a right old laugh. For those who don't know what crack is, crack means laugh. Before you start thinking anything else, yeah, right old laugh. A good old yonder, a good old ponder on a yonder. But indeed, so Doreen is saying, enlightening, energetic, thank you both. And then one more, let's see, so one more from Yotten who says, yes, my Rinpooch now say very little and leave me to find it out. Or obstacles I come across really my lessons, and I think my dyslexia is kicking in. It's about the path, not the destination. That bit I definitely 100% can read and agree. Enlightenment is the ego's ultimate disappointment. I like that. Indeed. And as Jake would say, yes, ha ha ha, awesome. Indeed, I definitely agree with that one. So, Staff Doc, this has been a great pleasure and an honor. I've loved it immensely. I'm actually counting up now. Congratulations. You are show number 187. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but
no, I'll find some way to make that a magic number.
Yeah. 187 is the magic number. Oh yes, it is. It's the magic number.
It's the secret of the universe. It's the key.
Yeah. It's not 47. It's 187. But indeed. So yeah. So thank you so much, sir. So old Doc, how can people find you if they want to find you?
Well, if they go on my website, which is that one there, it's under construction or reconstruction. I'm really overloaded, really, with requests at the moment, So please forgive me if I don't get back to you. Yeah, but with my academic work and my individual stuff that I do, I've just got no time or no space. But I just try and take it easy within that space that I've got and try to hang loose and enjoy myself. So as I say, I feel great. If I can help anybody, it will probably be more from things like this, But my hope is I retire next year. My hope is that I'll do less academic stuff and more out on the stage, on the show and that sort of business, because I do 3-hour or full day workshops, but mostly to corporate clients, So just watch this space, and if anything comes up, I'll let people know.
I really, really, well, not hope. I plan I aim at us to have some sort. Well, actually, maybe us and the Irish one.
Yeah.
You know, to definitely do something together. That would be freaking awesome. I definitely would love. I think you know, a workshop with us three would be well. Don't care about anybody else. I think we'll have a crack.
Yeah,
We'll definitely
exactly.
have a bloody good laugh.
Exactly.
Anybody else, that's your own prerogative. But for us, I think that'd be freaking awesome. So yes, so Joe, thank you so much. This has been a wondrous show. I have loved it immensely, enormously, whatever, Lee. I've loved it. And guys, I hope you loved it too. And if you didn't, tough. But so for now, surprise, surprise, I can't remember who's next, when the next show is. But tomorrow, this week, we have turned into the Way of Conscious Mindfulness Network. And tomorrow we'll have Robin McClendon with Conversations with Gaia at 8:30 UK time, which is 3:30 Eastern time. If you're anything else than Eastern, you will have to figure out for yourself, because I can't remember. And after the Conversations with Gaia, which sort of will be half an hour-ish, more-ish, sort of-ish, after that will be the show that me and Robin do, which is The Mother, the Dragon, and the Wu Chi, which is basically she's an artist, she's created these beautiful oracle cards. She does the readings. I sort of do the Sifu Boggie Taoist translation, my interpretation of that reading, plus I blast it with energy as well, because it's sort of what I do. And that's so that show starts first time on this network tomorrow. Then on Thursday we have I've now done the traditional way of qigong with, and what you were talking about with the Falun Gong is they do what the Chinese tend to call transmissions, which is basically like Reiki. They do spiritual updates with, they give downloads to your while you're practicing, so they're upgrading that information, and then once it's done a couple of times, you go off and you become a Jedi Knight basically. And so what I'm doing on Thursday, starting at 5 p.m. UK time, which is 12 o'clock Eastern time, I will be doing Tai Chi Chi Dao, which is the name, which means Tai Chi means supreme ultimate, Chi is energy, and Dao is the way. So the way of supreme ultimate energy will be for the first 20 minutes, and then there will be a bit of the dragon dog shaman Reiki, which is longer, Wu Jian Shun Qi Shen, which means dragon dog shaman flowing energy spirit basically. So you'll get a little bit of energy as well. That's on Thursday. Then on Saturday will be the wonderful Krista Higginbotham and her show Synchronista. So there's some new shows here. We're actually having some repeats at the moment at 11 p.m. UK time, which is about 6 o'clock Eastern time, and 2 o'clock in the morning UK time, which is now, I've done it to 11 o'clock Eastern time, I think. And so we're doing a few of the old shows. So we're playing catch up, giving you guys, the chance to taste some of the old stuff. And then those two lovely ladies, Robin McClendon and Krista Higginbotham, they will also be doing their own version of the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. So you never quite know. You'll see the guest, but you'll never quite know whether it's me or one of those two, whether you'll get the two roses or you get the old fawn. You'll never know until the show starts. So less talk, more do. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Joe, just don't go just yet, but everybody else, guys, take care. Bye for now. From the mighty Doc Joe, from myself, Sifu Boggie, guys, take care. Love, Chi, and Shen. Bye for now. Have a good one.